Hello, and welcome to my demo of some of Software AG's great products, including Cumulocity IoT, WebMethods IO Integration, and ARIS Process Mining. This is Cumulocity IoT, and you're viewing the cockpit application, which is one of the standard out-of-the-box applications that comes with Cumulocity. This is the application selector, and what we have provided is a demo application that I'd like to show you. This is our Smart Equipment Management demo application that's installed in our instance of Cumulocity. This is the overview page. It's customizable, and you can configure it however you'd like. Next, we have service history, and this defines what your cost of repairs are, how much your emergency cost of repairs might be, and it's gathering this information from integration into platforms such as ticket management or financial accounting systems to pull in this information and show it to you holistically through configurable dashboards. This is a view of the 5 assets that we have in the demo. We can manage as many IoT devices that you want to connect to it. In this case, we have these 5 that are interesting, and each one has its separate dashboard for information that's relevant to that piece of equipment. So as you can see, we have a paint robot, we have a palletizer robot, and a CNC machine represented in this Haas equipment over here. What we have defined here for the palletizer robot are different pieces of information about items that are being collected, such as rotational speed, how fast are the components on the machine operating, how fast should they be operating, what is the operating pressure, those types of sensor readings that we can get off of the palletizer. The other interesting piece of this is for this piece of equipment, we have the ability to integrate into a data API that will give us service information, service history regarding this piece of equipment. It's all done through configurable widgets. So in this case, if we take a look at what is being pulled and rendered in this table, is an API call to one of these URLs, and you can define in it then what's being returned from the API and describe what you would like to have displayed from the API that you're calling. Location is another attribute that we can collect, so you can drill down and see exactly where this piece of equipment was. You can set this at the equipment level, so we can go into the device and actually put a position in. However, if this is a non-stationary piece of equipment and it can send off signals regarding its location and latitude, longitude, we can also capture that and show over a period of time where this asset might have been going. Then on this dashboard as well, you have the ability to add other widgets. So in this case, we just grabbed an image of what potentially the piece of equipment could look like and are displaying it here. So again, if we go into the different areas of Cumulocity, what we might capture from, for instance, one of these devices that has some type of an alarm that can go off. We have the ability to configure smart rules regarding it, so we can do all kinds of different activities on it. So for instance, this one creates an alarm when a measurement reaches an explicit threshold, right? So let's say we have a temperature reading, or we have RPM speed that's over speeding. We can enable a smart rule and then actually get an alarm based on what that equipment is doing. Now you might want to integrate that information to a service ticket platform such as ServiceNow when an alarm happens. And so the next piece of software that Software AG has in their portfolio is well suited for that. So here I've created a project called it ServiceNow. And what this project is, if you drill down into it, it has an integration in it, and it is based on when an alarm is generated, do something. And so in this case, an alarm is generated, and we want to integrate that to ServiceNow. Now you can create these workflows through either recipes or creating a workflow from scratch. But this one that I created was based on a recipe that exists. So in this case, this was the recipe that came up, and you simply have to supply what the connection information is. So in this case, we have connected workflow to a connection to Cumulocity. And then what it does is it's monitoring for an alarm. So if we go in and we say we want to use this connection, we can monitor for the alarms. And here we see a case that just got kicked off, and it just created something inside of ServiceNow. We can go in and take a look at that. In this case, there was a threshold that was exceeded. Here is the incident number, and here is the incident as it was created through that workflow that we just saw get kicked off in WebMethods IO Integration. So that's an overview of what you can do with WebMethods IO Integration and Cumulocity. Now, the other part that you might want to take advantage of is ARIS Process Mining. So as you're capturing this data, potentially the service mining data, you might want to drill in and figure out why you have elevated costs around certain pieces. And so what process mining allows you to do is to take a look transactionally at all the different process steps that might be happening on a system. So we can go in and take a look at the process overview, and we can see how many pieces were started in the day. We can actually take a look at the process itself. What we are looking at right here is what process mining has decided is a conformed process. But what we can do is overlay an actual ARIS process onto it. When we take a look at this, what we see are the different steps for the process that you've defined, and then the blue highlights on this diagram are the different steps that it took. So in the collection of data that we have, there's 21,000 instances of a process that kicked off that it's doing analysis on. So if we want to take a look and see what a conformance is to a process, we can drill into the conformance area. And then what we see here are different places where there's non-conformant types of activities. So if you have unwanted activities or unexpected consecutive activities, invalid end activities, these can all be determined through the laying over of information based on here's a process model that is your baseline, and how do your different instances of that process conform to it. So if we want to take a look at unwanted activity, we can see then we can drill down into the process model overlay, and we can see what activity steps were taking place. Those steps are not in a conformed process, and so they're outliers, and we capture that information and allow you to do analysis on it. Now that was just a brief overview of some of our capabilities, including Cumulocity IoT, WebMethods IO Integration, and ARIS Process Mining.